The massive space station called Nexus Prime floated in the darkness between stars. Inside its crystal halls, 3 alien races sat around a glowing table. They had called an emergency meeting, and none of them looked happy. Admiral Christhoval was made of living crystal. His body sparkled blue and white as he moved. He was the leader of the Vorthak people. Next to him sat Commander Aquanash, whose wet skin glistened under the lights. She breathed through gills on her neck and represented the water-dwelling Rilani. The third alien, General Buzzkrin, looked like a giant insect with 4 arms and black eyes. He spoke for the Kethmore Hive. For 300 years, these 3 races had ruled the galaxy together. They called themselves the Galactic Council. They decided which planets could join their group and which ones had to wait. Earth was one of the planets that had to wait. The humans on Earth were too young, they said, too violent, too stupid. The Council had put invisible barriers around the solar system to keep humans trapped inside. They watched from far away and laughed at human attempts to reach the stars. "The energy readings are getting stronger," said Aquanash. Her voice bubbled like water. "The humans are doing something new." Admiral Christhoval's crystal body flashed with anger. "Probably trying to build bigger bombs. These creatures love to fight each other." General Buzzkrin clicked his mandibles. "Our scouts report strange signals coming from their outer planets. Maybe they found some old technology." "Impossible," said Christhoval. "We checked that system carefully. There is nothing there but rocks and gas." Far away, hidden in the darkness of space, Commander Tejo listened to every word. His ship, the Defiance, was invisible to alien sensors. Special paint and careful design made it look like empty space. Tejo was a tall man with serious eyes. He had been watching the aliens for 5 years. Tejo pressed a button on his chair. "Command, this is Defiance. The Council is planning something. They detected our new fusion plants on Mars." A voice crackled back through his headset. "Copy that, Tejo. Admiral Minho wants to see you as soon as you get back." Tejo smiled. Admiral Minho was the smartest person he knew. If anyone could handle the aliens, it was him. Back on Nexus Prime, the 3 alien leaders were making a decision that would change everything. "We need to investigate," said Admiral Christhoval. "If the humans found something dangerous, we must take it away from them." "What if they fight back?" asked Aquanash. General Buzzkrin laughed. It sounded like insects buzzing. "With what? Their primitive rockets? Their chemical weapons? One of our ships could destroy their entire planet." "Then it's decided," said Christhoval. "I will take 12 ships to the human system. We will see what these animals are hiding." The other aliens nodded. They had no idea they were making the biggest mistake in galactic history. Admiral Christhoval returned to his flagship, the Crystal Spear. It was beautiful and deadly, with weapons that could melt mountains. His crew of 1,000 Vorthak warriors prepared for what they thought would be an easy mission. "Set course for the Sol system," ordered Christhoval. "We will show these humans what real power looks like." The 12 alien ships jumped into hyperspace. They moved faster than light, crossing the galaxy in hours instead of years. Their computers calculated that they would arrive at Earth in 2 days. Meanwhile, on Earth, Admiral Minho stood in a secret bunker buried deep under the Korean mountains. He was an older man with gray hair and sharp eyes. Around him, hundreds of people worked at glowing screens. They tracked every ship, every signal, every movement in space around Earth. "Sir," called out Lieutenant Su-Jin from her station, "Commander Tejo is back. He says the aliens are coming." Minho nodded. He had been expecting this day for 20 years. "How many ships?" 12, sir. Big ones." "Good," said Minho. "Not too many, not too few. Perfect for our first demonstration." Su-Jin looked confused. "Sir, our first demonstration?" Minho walked to a large window that looked out over a hidden valley. In the valley, thousands of sleek silver ships sat ready for launch. They looked nothing like the crude rockets the aliens expected humans to have. "Su-Jin, Do you know how long we've been preparing for this moment? 50 years, sir? Longer, said Minho. My grandfather started this project. My father continued it. Now it's my turn to finish it. He pressed a button on the wall. All across Earth, hidden bases began to wake up. On the moon, gun batteries powered on. Near Mars, invisible ships started their engines. In the asteroid belt, weapons platforms turned toward the edge of the solar system. The aliens think they're coming to inspect some primitive humans, said Minho. They think we're still throwing rocks and sticks at each other. They're about to learn that humans are very good at keeping secrets. Captain Jin A received her orders while orbiting Jupiter. Her ship, Soul's Pride, looked like an old mining vessel. Rust and dents covered its hull. Its engines seemed barely strong enough to move it through space. But inside, the ship was full of the most advanced technology humanity had ever built. Weapons that could punch through any armor. Shields that could stop a nuclear bomb. Computers that thought faster than any alien brain. Orders confirmed, said Jin-A to her crew. We're going to meet our visitors. Remember, act like simple miners until I say otherwise. Her crew smiled. They had been training for this mission their whole lives. 5 people who looked like ordinary workers, but who could fight a war if they had to. Ginny looked at the stars through her window. Somewhere out there, 12 alien ships were coming to invade her home. They thought humans were weak and stupid. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Take us to the edge of the system, ordered Jin-A. It's time to welcome our guests. The Soul's Pride turned and headed for the darkness between the planets. Behind it, hundreds of other human ships began to move. The aliens had started something they couldn't finish. Earth was ready for war. The alien fleet dropped out of hyperspace like falling stars. 12 massive ships appeared at the edge of the solar system, their hulls gleaming with strange metals and glowing symbols. Admiral Christhoval stood on the bridge of his flagship, feeling proud and confident. Scan the system, he ordered his crew. Find these primitive humans and their little rockets. The Vorthak science officer, a crystal being named Shardik, worked at his station. His body flashed different colors as he concentrated. After a few minutes, he looked up with confusion. Admiral, I'm detecting something impossible. What do? You mean? Asked Christhoval. There are defensive platforms everywhere. Thousands of them. And ships. So many ships. How did primitives build all this? Admiral Christhoval walked over to look at the scanner. What he saw made his crystal body flicker with shock. The space around Earth was full of technology. Weapon platforms floated near every planet. Hidden bases dotted the asteroid belt. Ships moved in perfect formations between the worlds. This must be a mistake, said Christhoval. Run the scan again. But before Shardik could respond, a new signal appeared on their screens. A single ship was approaching from the direction of Jupiter. It looked old and battered, like a simple mining vessel. Captain Jin-A sat in the command chair of Soul's Pride. Her ship looked terrible on the outside, but inside it hummed with power. Her crew of 4 worked quietly at their stations. They all wore simple mining clothes, but underneath they carried weapons that could kill any alien. Incoming transmission from the alien fleet, reported her communications officer, Wu Bin. Put it on screen, said Jin-A. The face of Admiral Christhoval appeared before them. His crystal features sparkled with authority and contempt. Behind him, Ginny could see other aliens working at strange controls. Primitive vessel, said Christhoval in broken English. You will stop and prepare for inspection. We are the Galactic Council. Ginny smiled politely. Greetings, Admiral Christhoval, of the Vorthak Third Fleet. Welcome to human space. I am Captain Jin-A of the Soul's Pride. Christhoval's eyes widened. You know my name? How do you know Vorthak language? We know many things, said Jin-A calmly. We also know you're here without permission. Human space is protected by many treaties. Treaties? Christhoval laughed. With who? You primitives barely know other planets exist. Jin-A's expression didn't change. We have treaties with the Zephyr Republic, the Free Traders Union, and 17 other galactic governments. We also have embassies on 14 worlds. The alien. Admiral stared at her. This was impossible. His intelligence report said humans had never left their solar system. How could they have embassies? You're lying, said Christopher. Humans are primitive animals who fight with sticks and stones. Admiral, your information is 50 years out of date, said Jin A. Perhaps you should contact the Terran Embassy on Kepler Station. They can explain our diplomatic status. The Vorthak Admiral felt his confidence slipping away. Something was very wrong here. These humans were supposed to be stupid and helpless, but this captain spoke like she knew the galaxy better than he did. I don't care about your lies, said Christopher. You will submit to inspection or we will destroy you. Jin sighed. Admiral, I strongly advise against that course of action. Please contact your government and request proper diplomatic channels. I am the government here, shouted Christopher. Surrender now or face the consequences. Jin looked sad. Very well. You have been warned. She gestured to Wu Bin, who cut the transmission. Then she turned to her tactical officer, Lieutenant Hai Rim. Hai Rim, are their weapons charged? Yes, Captain. All 12 ships are targeting us. And our shields? Ready, Captain. They can fire everything they have and won't even scratch our paint. Ginny nodded. Then let's see what happens. On the crystal spear, Admiral Christopher was furious. No primitive had ever spoken to him like that. He would teach these humans to respect the Galactic Council. All ships, target the human vessel, he ordered. Fire when ready. 12 alien warships turned their weapons toward Sol's Pride. Energy cannons that could destroy mountains charged, with deadly power. Torpedo tubes loaded with bombs that could crack planets. Fire, ordered Christopher. Space lit up with alien weapons. Energy beams that burned brighter than stars struck Jin ship. Torpedoes exploded against its hull with the force of nuclear bombs. The aliens watched with satisfaction, expecting to see nothing but floating debris. But when the light faded, Sol's Pride was still there. Its shields glowed faintly blue, but the ship was completely undamaged. Impossible, gasped Shardik. Nothing can withstand that much firepower. Admiral Christopher stared at the human ship in shock. His best weapons had done nothing. The mining vessel sat there like nothing had happened. Jin A's voice came over the radio again. Admiral, you have just committed an act of war against the Terran Republic. I suggest you reconsider your actions. How are you still alive? Demanded Christopher. Our shields are a bit more advanced than you expected, said Jin A calmly. This is your last chance to withdraw peacefully. Christopher felt fear creeping into his crystal heart. These humans had technology that shouldn't exist, but he couldn't back down now. The honor of the Galactic Council was at stake. All ships, attack formation, he ordered. We'll blast through their defenses. The 12 alien ships spread out to surround Sol's Pride. They prepared to fire again with everything they had. Jin A shook her head sadly. So be it. Wu Bin, send the code word to Admiral Min Ho. Code word sent, Captain. What code word? Asked Haya Rim. Jin A smiled grimly. The code word that tells our fleet to stop hiding. She looked at the alien ship surrounding her. They had no idea what was about to happen. In a few minutes, they would understand that attacking humans was the worst mistake they could make. Gentlemen, said Jin A to her crew, I think our guests are about to meet the rest of the family. In deep space around the solar system, hundreds of hidden human ships received the signal. Their cloaking devices shut off. Their weapons powered up. Their engines roared to life. Admiral Christopher was about to learn why no one entered human space uninvited. Admiral Christopher was preparing to fire again when space around his fleet suddenly filled with human ships. They appeared like ghosts becoming solid, materializing from empty darkness. Hundreds of sleek vessels surrounded the 12 alien ships, from every direction. Where did they come from? Shouted Shardik from his station. My sensors showed nothing. The human ships were beautiful and deadly. Their hulls were dark silver, shaped like hunting knives cutting through space. They moved with perfect coordination, like a school of metal fish swimming through the stars. At the center of the human formation was the largest ship Christoval had ever seen. It was twice the size of his flagship, covered with weapon ports and sensor arrays. Along its side, glowing letters spelled out Indomitable. Admiral Min-ho stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, wearing a simple gray uniform. He was 60 years old, with wise eyes and steady hands. Around him, his crew worked with quiet efficiency. No one shouted or panicked. They had trained for this moment their entire lives. "Communications, open a channel to the alien fleet," ordered Min-ho. "Channel open, sir," replied his communications officer, Young Soo. Min-ho's face appeared on every alien ship's screen. He looked calm and professional, like a man discussing the weather. "I am Admiral Min-ho of the Terran Defense Fleet," he said. "You have violated human space and committed an act of war against a civilian vessel. You have one opportunity to withdraw. Immediately!" Admiral Christoval's crystal body flashed red with rage. "How dare you threaten the Galactic Council? We rule this galaxy. Your primitive world will burn for this insult." Min-ho's expression didn't change. "Admiral, you've made two critical errors. First, you assumed we were primitive. Second, you assumed we were alone. On the Kethmore ship Hive Strike, Science Officer Clicktar was frantically scanning the human vessels. What he found made his insect blood run cold. The human ships were built from materials that shouldn't exist, their energy signatures violated. Basic physics. Their computers processed information faster than any Kethmore hive mind. "General Buzzkrin," clicked Clicktar to his commander, "these ships, they're impossible. Their technology is centuries ahead of ours." General Buzzkrin refused to believe it. "Impossible. Humans barely discovered fire." But as more human ships decloaked around them, even Buzzkrin began to doubt. There were ships near Earth, ships near Mars, ships hidden in the asteroid belt. The humans had turned their entire solar system into a fortress. Admiral Min-ho continued speaking. "Admiral Christoval, your intelligence about humanity is severely outdated. We've been spacefaring for over a century. We've been watching you for 50 years. And we've been preparing for this meeting much longer than that." On the bridge of the Soul's Pride, Captain Jin-A watched the alien fleet with satisfaction. She could see the panic on their faces as they realized how badly they had miscalculated. "Captain," said Wu Bin, "the aliens are trying to send distress signals to their home worlds. Are they getting through?" asked Jin-A. "No, ma'am. Our jamming fields are blocking everything." Jin-A nodded. The humans had learned to be thorough. No one would know what happened here until they decided to tell them. Commander Aquanash, floating in her water-filled command chamber aboard the Tide Runner, watched her sensors with growing fear. The human ships moved like nothing she had ever seen. They turned and accelerated in ways that should have killed any living crew. "How are they surviving those maneuvers?" she gurgled to her tactical officer. "I don't know, Commander. The G-forces should liquefy any organic being. What they didn't know was that human pilots used neural interfaces. Computers helped their brains control their bodies during impossible turns and stops. The technology was banned by the Galactic Council as too dangerous, but humans had perfected it in secret." Admiral Christoval tried one last desperate bluff. "You may have more ships than we expected, but we are still superior. Our weapons can destroy planets." Min-ho smiled sadly. "Admiral, let me show you something." He gestured to his tactical officer, Captain Soo-jin. She pressed a button on her console. Suddenly, every human ship powered up their weapons at the same time. The space around the alien fleet lit up with targeting beams and energy fields. The aliens had never seen so much firepower concentrated in one place. "Each of our ships carries weapons you've never imagined," said Min-ho. "We've spent 50 years studying your technology and building something better. Our shields can stop your strongest attacks. Our weapons can pierce your best defenses." To prove his point, Minho ordered a demonstration. Captain Dong Wu of the destroyer Soul Hammer fired a single shot at a nearby asteroid. The rock simply vanished, turned to dust by a weapon that worked on principles the aliens didn't understand. Impossible, whispered Christoval. How did primitives develop such technology? We're not primitives, said Minho patiently. We're humans. We learn. We adapt. We improve. While you thought we were playing with sticks and stones, we were building the most advanced fleet in the galaxy. The alien commanders were starting to panic. General Buzzkrin clicked frantically at his crew, trying to find a way to escape. Commander Aquanash bubble-spoke rapid orders to her engineers. Admiral Christoval's crystal body flickered between different colors as fear and anger fought inside him. But the worst shock was still coming. Captain High Rim of the research vessel Newton's Revenge began broadcasting on all alien frequencies. Her transmission contained detailed maps, photos, and intelligence reports about every major alien world, military base, and government facility in the galaxy. As you can see, said High Rim calmly, we know the location of every Vorthak crystal mine, every Rilani city, and every Kethmore hive world. We know your troop strengths, your weapon capabilities, and your political weaknesses. The alien commanders stared in horror at their screens. The humans had intelligence about secret bases that their own governments thought were hidden. They knew about experimental weapons, private communications, and classified research projects. How? Gasped Aquanash. How do you know all this? We've been watching you for 50 years, replied Hyarim. We have agents on your worlds, listening posts in your space, and friends among your enemies. Did you really think you could keep an entire species locked in a box without us noticing? Admiral Christoval felt his world crashing down around him. The humans weren't primitive. They weren't helpless. They were the most dangerous species he had ever encountered, and he had just declared war on them. Admiral Minho, he said, his voice shaking. Perhaps we can discuss this peacefully. The time for discussion was before you opened fire on one of our ships, replied Minho. Now you have a choice. Surrender and face trial for war crimes or fight and face the consequences. Christoval looked around at the human fleet surrounding him. Hundreds of advanced warships, all pointing their weapons at his small force. His 12 ships seemed tiny and helpless in comparison, but crystal Vorthak pride ran deep. He couldn't surrender to primitives, even if they weren't really primitive. All ships, he ordered quietly. Prepare for battle. We'll show these humans what the Galactic Council is made of. Admiral Minho sighed. So be it. All ships, weapons free. Let's end this quickly. The battle began with the fury of a supernova. Admiral Christoval's 12 ships opened fire with everything they had. Energy beams that could melt asteroids lanced through space. Missiles that carried nuclear warheads streaked toward human vessels. The aliens fought with the desperation of cornered animals. But the human response was swift and terrible. Captain Su Jin led her destroyer squadron in a flanking attack that seemed impossible. Her ships, the Busan Lightning, Daegu Thunder, and Incheon Storm, moved like dancers through the alien fire. They twisted and turned through space in ways that violated every rule of physics the aliens knew. How are they moving like that? Screamed Shardik from the Crystal Spear's bridge. Those maneuvers should kill their crews. But the human pilots were still alive, their minds linked to their ships through neural interfaces. They felt every turn and spin as if the vessels were extensions of their own bodies. G-forces that would crush normal beings were absorbed by their enhanced bodies and computer-assisted reflexes. Sujin's voice crackled over the comm as her squadron dove through the alien formation. All ships, target their weapon systems. Let's take away their teeth. The destroyer Busan Lightning fired first. Its weapons didn't look like anything the aliens recognized. Instead of energy beams or missiles, it shot streams of particles that seemed to ignore the laws of physics. The particles passed right through the crystal spear's shields, as if they weren't there, and struck the ship's weapon ports directly. Admiral Christopher watched in horror as his main guns simply stopped working. "What kind of weapon pierces shields?" he demanded. His science officer, Shardik, was frantically checking his instruments. "I don't know, Admiral. The particles are phasing in and out of normal space. It's like they exist in multiple dimensions at once." The human weapons were based on principles the Galactic Council had dismissed as impossible. While the aliens stuck to traditional energy weapons and missiles, humans had explored quantum mechanics, dimensional physics, and technologies that bent reality itself. Captain Wu Bin commanded the heavy cruiser Busan Fury. His ship was smaller than the alien flagship, but far more deadly. He brought his vessel in close to Admiral Cristoval's ship, so close that their hulls almost touched. "Firing phase cannons," announced Wu Bin calmly. The Busan Fury's weapons sent waves of energy through the crystal spear's hull. But instead of exploding on impact, the energy phased through the armor and attacked the ship's internal systems directly. Lights went out. Computers crashed. Life support began to fail. Admiral Cristoval felt his ship dying around him. "Impossible! How can they attack our internal systems without breaking our hull?" Meanwhile, Commander Aquanash was fighting her own desperate battle. Her ship, the Tide Runner, was surrounded by human fighters that moved like angry wasps. The small craft darted in and out of her weapon range, striking with precision that seemed supernatural. The lead fighter was piloted by Lieutenant Bo-Ra, a young woman with ice in her veins and fire in her heart. Her ship, the Soul Falcon, danced around the alien vessel's massive guns while firing pinpoint strikes at critical systems. "This is impossible," gurgled Aquanash to her crew. "How can one small fighter damage a ship this size?" Her tactical officer had the answer, and it terrified him. "Commander, their weapons are targeting our molecular structure. They're not just hitting our hull. They're breaking apart the atoms that hold it together." General Buzzkrin of the Kethmore was faring no better. His insect ship, the Hive Strike, was being torn apart by human vessels that seemed to anticipate every move he made. Every time he tried to turn, human ships were already there. Every time he fired, they had already moved. Captain Dongwu of the Soul Hammer was leading the attack on the Hive Strike. His ship's computers were connected to the other human vessels through quantum communication links. All the human ships shared information instantly, creating a hive mind that was faster and smarter than anything the Kethmore could imagine. "Target their engine core," ordered Dongwu. "Let's ground this bug." The Soul Hammer fired a weapon that looked like liquid lightning. The energy struck the Hive Strike's engines and spread through them like a virus. The alien ship's power systems began to fail one by one. General Buzzkrin clicked frantically at his controls. "Engineering! What's happening to our engines?" His chief engineer's voice buzzed with panic. "General, their weapon is rewriting our ship's computer code. It's turning our own systems against us." This was another human innovation the aliens had never seen. Computer viruses that could be fired from weapons. Software that could invade enemy systems and take control. The humans had turned information warfare into a physical attack. But the real shock came from Captain High Rim aboard the Newton's Revenge. Her research vessel wasn't built for combat, but it carried the most devastating weapon of all, information. As the battle raged around her, High Rim began broadcasting detailed tactical information about every alien ship. She told the human fleet exactly where to hit each vessel for maximum damage. She revealed the weak points in their armor, the flaws in their design, and the limits of their weapons. "The Vorthak flagship has vulnerable crystal joints at coordinates 127 Mark 85, she announced calmly. "The Rilani ship's water recycling system can be overloaded by targeting their port side vents. The Kethmore vessel's hive mind depends on 3 main computer nodes located in their lower hull." The human ships immediately acted on this intelligence. Precise strikes hit exactly where Hiram directed. The alien vessels began falling apart like broken toys. Admiral Christval realized with growing horror that the humans knew more about his ship than he did. They understood Vorthak technology better than the beings who built it. "How do they know so much about our ships?" he gasped. Shardik had found the answer in his computer files. "Admiral, they've been infiltrating our research facilities for decades. They have complete blueprints of every ship class in our fleet." The truth was devastating. While the Galactic Council thought they were watching primitive humans, the humans had been stealing every secret the aliens had. Human spies had lived on alien worlds. Human agents had worked in alien factories. Human scientists had studied in alien universities. The aliens had been teaching their enemies how to defeat them. Commander Aquanash's ship was the first to fall. Repeated attacks from Bo-Ra's fighter squadron had weakened her hull to the breaking point. When Captain Sujin's destroyer fired a final shot, the Tide Runner simply broke apart like a soap bubble. Aquanash managed to send one last message before her ship died. "All ships, retreat! We can't win this fight." But it was too late. "General, Buzzkrin's hive strike was already powerless. Its engines dead and its weapons silent. Captain Dongwu's soul hammer held it in a tractor beam like a cat holding a mouse. Admiral Christval's crystal spear was barely functional. Most of his weapons were gone. His shields had failed. His crew was in panic." "Admiral," said Shardik, desperately, "we have to surrender. We can't fight technology like this." Christval looked around his ruined bridge. Half his crew was unconscious. Smoke filled the air. Sparks flew from broken equipment. His mighty flagship had been reduced to scrap metal in less than an hour. But his pride wouldn't let him give up. He was a Vorthak admiral. His ancestors had conquered 100 worlds. He couldn't surrender to humans. "Never," he said firmly. "Send a message to the Galactic Council. Tell them what we found here. Warn them about human technology." He reached for the self-destruct button, planning to take his ship and crew down in a blaze of glory. But before he could press it, his hand froze in place. Captain Wu Bin's voice came over the comm. "Admiral, I wouldn't do that if I were you. We're jamming your self-destruct system. You're not going anywhere." Admiral Christval stared at his unmoving hand. Even his own body was no longer under his control. The humans had somehow paralyzed him using weapons he couldn't understand. The battle was over. 12 alien ships had been defeated by human technology they couldn't comprehend. The survivors floated helplessly in space, prisoners of a species they had dismissed as primitive. Admiral Minho's voice came over the comm, calm and professional as always. "Alien vessels, this is Admiral Minho. Your ships are disabled and your crews are alive. Prepare to be boarded for processing." The greatest military defeat in Galactic Council history was complete. The news hit the Galactic Council like a thunderbolt. Admiral Christval's fleet had been destroyed. 12 of their most advanced warships, defeated by humans who were supposed to be primitive savages. The three ruling races gathered in emergency session on Nexus Prime, their faces showing fear for the first time in centuries. High Chancellor Quartzmind of the Vorthak paced nervously in his crystal chambers. His body flickered between blue and red as emotions warred inside him. Around him, his advisors whispered in panicked voices. 12 ships, he muttered. 12 of our best ships gone. How is this possible? His military advisor, General Prismheart, consulted a data tablet with shaking hands. "The last transmission from Admiral Christval was disturbing, Chancellor. He claimed the humans had technology beyond our understanding." "Impossible," said Quartzmind. "We've been watching them. For 300 years, they're barely civilized." But deep in his crystal heart, the Chancellor was beginning to doubt everything he thought he knew about humans. Supreme Flow, choral song of the Rilani, was having similar doubts in her underwater palace. The fish-like beings around her swam in agitated circles, their gills fluttering with anxiety. Their greatest admiral had been defeated by creatures who lived on dry land. Send word to all our fleets, she gurgled to her advisors. No ship is to approach human space without my direct permission. The Kethmore were in complete chaos. Their hive mind, which usually made decisions instantly, was paralyzed by conflicting information. Queen Buzzmother sat in her throne room, surrounded by thousands of drones who clicked and buzzed in confusion. The humans defeated a Kethmore general, she clicked angrily. This should be impossible. Our tactical computers are the best in the galaxy. 3 days after the battle, the aliens received a message that changed everything. Ambassador Ki Young of the Terran Republic requested permission to address the Galactic Council. The fact that humans even had an ambassador was shocking enough. The content of his message was devastating. Ambassador Ki Young was a calm man in his 50s, with intelligent eyes and a gentle smile. He wore a simple black suit as he walked into the Great Council chamber on Nexus Prime. Around him, hundreds of aliens stared with mixture of fear and curiosity. Honored members of the Galactic Council, he began in perfect galactic standard. I am Ambassador Ki Young, official representative of the Terran Republic. High Chancellor Quartz Mines Crystal, body flashed with anger. The what? Humans don't have a republic. You barely have governments. Ki Young smiled politely. Chancellor, I'm afraid your information is quite outdated. The Terran Republic was formed 87 years ago. We've been trying to establish diplomatic contact with your council for 57 years. Lies, bubbled Supreme Flow Choral Song. We would know if humans had tried to contact us. Would you? Asked Ki Young calmly. He gestured to an aide, who activated a holographic display. The image showed dozens of official diplomatic messages sent to the Galactic Council over 5 decades. All of them had been automatically deleted by computer systems programmed to ignore primitive human communications. As you can see, continued Ki Young, we've been sending formal diplomatic requests for decades. Your computers classified them as spam and deleted them without review. Queen Buzzmother clicked angrily. Even if this is true, it doesn't explain how you defeated our fleet. Ki Young's expression became serious. Your Majesty, the fleet that entered our space committed an act of war against a peaceful civilization. We defended ourselves using minimal force. Minimal force? Screeched General Prismheart. You destroyed 12 warships. We disabled 12 warships, corrected Ki Young. All your crews are alive and being treated well. They will be returned to you after we discuss terms for their release. This revelation stunned the council into silence. They had assumed the human victory meant their crews were dead. The fact that humans had captured entire ships without killing anyone was almost more terrifying than total destruction. Dr. Yun-Su, the Terran Republic's chief scientist, stepped forward to address the council. She was a small woman with sharp eyes and graying hair. In her hands, she carried a device that made the aliens nervous. Honored council members, she said, I'd like to explain how this misunderstanding occurred. She activated her device, and the chamber filled with holographic images of human technology, ships, weapons, computers, and scientific instruments that made alien technology look primitive. For the past century, humanity has been developing independently, explained Dr. Yun-Su. We've made breakthrough discoveries in quantum mechanics, dimensional physics, and artificial intelligence, technologies that your council banned as too dangerous, we perfected in secret. The holographs showed human ships phasing in and out of normal space, weapons that could affect matter at the atomic level, and computers that processed information faster than any alien brain. But this is impossible, protested High Chancellor. Quartz mind. Such advances would take millennia. Dr. Yun-Su smiled sadly. Chancellor, you made the same mistake many species make. You assumed that technological progress follows a predictable path. But humans don't follow rules. We break them. She showed images of human research facilities hidden throughout the galaxy, secret bases on distant worlds, camouflaged laboratories, In asteroid fields and underground cities on planets the Council thought were uninhabited. While you were watching Earth, said Dr. Yun-Su, we were colonizing the galaxy. We've been building and learning and growing for over 50 years. Ambassador Ki-young took control of the presentation again. Honored Council, we haven't come here to threaten you. We've come to offer friendship and cooperation. Friendship? Bubbled Coral Song. After you destroyed our fleet? Your fleet attacked one of our civilian vessels, Ki-young reminded her. We responded with restraint. A less patient species might have retaliated against your homeworlds. This statement sent chills through the alien leaders. The humans could have struck back at their planets, but chose not to. It was both a gesture of mercy and a subtle threat. Ki-young continued his presentation with the most shocking revelation of all. We're not the only species you've underestimated. For the past 30 years, we've been secretly helping other primitive civilizations develop advanced technology. The holographic display showed a dozen star systems where humans had established contact with younger species. The Nexari, the Velcan, the Zothric, all races the Council had dismissed as unimportant. All of them now possessed technology that rivaled the galaxy's greatest powers. We've created a shadow alliance, explained Ki-young. Species working together, sharing knowledge, growing stronger while your Council ignored them. Queen Buzzmother's clicking reached a frantic pitch. You're saying there's an entire civilization we don't know about? Multiple civilizations, corrected Ki-young. The galaxy is much larger and more complex than your Council realizes. But the final shock was still coming. Ambassador Ki-young reached into his jacket and pulled out an ancient-looking device covered in symbols that made the alien leaders gasp. We believe this belongs to you, he said calmly. High Chancellor Quartzmind's crystal body went completely white. The Nexus Key. How do you possess the Nexus Key? We found it in our archives 30 years ago, replied Ki-young. Apparently, it was discovered on Earth in 1987 and classified as an unusual artifact until our scientists recognized what it was. The Nexus Key was legendary among galactic civilizations. It controlled access to the most advanced hyperspace routes in the galaxy, allowing instant travel between distant systems. The Galactic Council had been searching for it for over 1,000 years. This key, said Ki-young, holding up the device, has allowed us to explore regions of space your Council has never seen. We've made contact with civilizations that are millions of years old. They've taught us things that would revolutionize galactic science. He paused to let this information sink in. They've also told us some very interesting stories about the Galactic Council's early history. Stories you might not want becoming public knowledge. The alien leaders exchanged frightened glances. There were things in their past they had hoped were forgotten. Wars they had started, species they had enslaved, planets they had destroyed. If ancient civilizations were talking to humans, those secrets might no longer be safe. Ambassador Ki-young put the Nexus Key away and smiled diplomatically. But we're not here to discuss the past. We're here to talk about the future. The Terran Republic is prepared to join the Galactic Council as an equal member. Equal? Demanded Quartzmind. You're a single species. We represent 3 great civilizations. Actually, said Ki-young, we represent 15 civilizations now. Our alliance has been growing rapidly. He activated one final holographic display. It showed a map of the galaxy with human territories marked in blue. The aliens stared in shock at how much space was colored blue. Nearly a quarter of the galaxy was under human influence. As you can see, concluded Ki-young, humanity is no longer a single-planet civilization. We're a galactic power. The question is, do we work together or do we work separately? The chamber fell silent as the alien leaders realized their world had changed forever. 6 months after the failed invasion, the galaxy had changed beyond recognition. The Great Council Chamber on Nexus Prime had been rebuilt to accommodate new members. Where once 3 alien races had ruled alone, now 15 civilizations sat as equals around a circular table. Admiral Dong Wu stood at attention in his crisp blue uniform, receiving his new assignment from the Joint Galactic Defense Council. He was no longer just a human officer. He was Earth's representative to the most powerful military force in the galaxy. "Admiral," said High Chancellor Quartzmind, his crystal body now glowing with respectful green light. "The Council formally appoints you as Supreme Commander of Joint Defense Operations." It was a position that would have been unthinkable 6 months ago, a human commanding alien fleets. But the aliens had learned to respect human tactical abilities after their devastating defeat at the edge of the Sol system. "Thank you, Chancellor," replied Dong Wu. "I promise to serve all member species with honor." Around the table, former enemies nodded with approval. Supreme Flow, choral song of the Rilani, had become one of humanity's strongest supporters after learning about human underwater cities. Queen Buzz, mother of the Kethmore, was fascinated by human computer networks that worked like artificial hive minds. The changes went deeper than just politics. Dr. Yunsu had established joint research stations throughout the galaxy where human and alien scientists worked together. Technologies that had been banned for centuries were now being perfected in controlled environments. Captain Su Jin walked through one of these facilities on Kepler Station, marveling at the cooperation between species. Vorthak crystal engineers worked alongside human quantum physicists. Rilani biospecialists collaborated with Kethmore computer experts. The station hummed with discoveries that were reshaping galactic civilization. "How are the new shield designs?" "Coming?" Sujin asked Dr. Park, the human scientist leading the project. "Better than expected," replied Dr. Park with excitement. "By combining human quantum technology with Vorthak crystal matrices, we've created shields that are 3 times stronger than anything we had before." Nearby, alien scientists were equally enthusiastic about human innovations. The humans had brought fresh perspectives to problems that had stumped galactic researchers for millennia. But the real test of the new alliance came when Captain Young-Soo received his orders for the first joint exploration mission. His ship, the Sejong's Journey, would carry a mixed crew of humans and aliens into unexplored space beyond the galactic rim. Young-Soo stood on his bridge, looking around at his diverse crew. Lieutenant Hai Rim worked alongside Shardik, the Vorthak officer who had once served on Admiral Christhoval's flagship. Commander Aquaflow, a Rilani navigator, shared data with Buzzkin, a Kethmore tactical specialist. "All stations report ready for departure," announced Hai Rim. "Take us out," ordered Young-Soo. "Let's see what's waiting for us in the unknown." The Sejong's Journey jumped into hyperspace, carrying the hopes of 15 civilizations. It was the first truly integrated crew in galactic history, and they were heading into regions of space that no one had ever explored. Meanwhile, on Earth, Admiral Minho was dealing with unexpected visitors. The mysterious message from unknown aliens had led to first contact with the Ethereal Collective, a group of energy beings who existed in a different dimension. The meeting took place in a specially constructed chamber deep beneath the Korean mountains. Minho stood facing a swirling mass of light and energy that spoke with voices like singing crystals. "We have watched your species with great interest," said the ethereal spokesperson. "Your rapid advancement has impressed even us." "What do you want from us?" asked Minho directly. "Nothing," replied the entity. "We wish to offer you something. There are threats in this galaxy that even your advanced technology cannot handle. Alone. Ancient machines that devour entire star systems. Parasitic entities that consume civilizations from within. Dark forces that the Galactic Council has never encountered." Minho felt a chill run down his spine. "And you want us to fight these threats?" "We want you to be ready for them," said the ethereal being. Because ready or not, they are coming. The warning proved prophetic sooner than anyone expected. 3 weeks into their exploration mission, Captain Young-Soo's mixed crew encountered something that defied all understanding. Captain reported, Shardik from his sensor station. I'm detecting massive energy signatures at the edge of the system. Whatever it is, it's bigger than a space station. On the main screen, a shape emerged from the darkness that made everyone gasp. It was a ship, but calling it a ship was like calling a mountain a pebble. The vessel was the size of a moon, covered in weapons that glowed with malevolent energy. Unknown vessel, came a transmission in a voice like grinding metal. You have entered the domain of the Devourers. Prepare to be consumed. Young-Soo looked around his bridge at the mixed crew of former enemies turned allies. Human, Vorthak, Rilani, and Kethamor officers worked together with perfect coordination. All hands to battle stations, he ordered calmly. It looks like we're about to field test this new alliance. Back on Earth, Director Bora stood in the secret command center that monitored the galaxy-wide network of human colonies and outposts. Her screens showed dozens of hidden facilities throughout space, each one contributing to humanity's growing influence. Ma'am, reported her aide, Lieutenant Tae-jin, we're receiving distress signals from the exploration fleet. They've encountered something called the Devourers. Bora nodded grimly. Signal all hidden bases, activate the Deep Space Defense Network, and send word to Admiral Min Ho. It's time to show our alien allies what humans do when their friends are threatened. The final revelation of humanity's true capabilities was about to unfold. The secret bases weren't just for hiding or research. They were nodes in a defensive network that spanned half the galaxy. Weapons platforms disguised as asteroids, shield generators hidden in nebulae, sensor arrays camouflaged as space debris. For 50 years, humans had been preparing not just for contact with the Galactic Council, but for whatever threats might emerge from the darkness between stars. Admiral Christhoval, now serving as a military advisor to the Joint Defense Force, stood beside Admiral Min Ho in the command center. The former enemies had become respected colleagues. Admiral, said Christhoval, his crystal body glowing with admiration, I must ask, how long have you been planning for something like this? Min Ho smiled as status reports flooded in from across the galaxy. Human ships were emerging from hiding. Throughout space, joining alien fleets in a massive defensive formation. Admiral, he replied, humans have been planning for the unknown since we first looked up at the stars. We learned long ago that the universe is full of surprises. Some of them are friendly. He gestured toward the alien officers working alongside humans. And some of them are not. The combined fleet that assembled to face the Devourer threat was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Human innovation merged with alien expertise. Technologies that had been separate for millennia were combined into weapons and defenses of incredible power. As the great ships prepared for battle, Ambassador Ki-young sent a message to the unknown aliens who had first contacted Earth. Unknown species, he transmitted into deep space. This is Ambassador Kai-young of the Terran Republic and the Galactic Alliance. We received your message about wanting to meet. As you can see, we're currently busy defending the galaxy from hostile forces. But when this is over, we'd be happy to sit down and discuss whatever brought you to our attention. He paused, then added with a typically human touch of humor. Fair warning, though. We've recently learned that first meetings with humans don't always go as other species expect. We recommend approaching through proper diplomatic channels. The message was sent toward the unknown reaches of space, carrying with it the confidence of a species that had gone from imprisoned primitives to galactic defenders in less than a century. In the command center, Admiral Min Ho watched as human and alien fleets jumped into hyperspace together, heading toward a threat none of them fully understood. It was exactly the kind of impossible situation that humans specialized in handling. All ships, he transmitted to the combined fleet. "Remember, no one threatens our galaxy uninvited, whether they're from the Council, the unknown regions, or anywhere else. This is our space now. All of ours. And we protect what's ours." The greatest test of the human-alien alliance was about to begin. But for the first time in galactic history, the galaxy had defenders who were ready for anything the universe could throw at them. After all, they were led by humans. And humans had never met a problem they couldn't solve, an enemy they couldn't defeat, or a challenge they wouldn't accept. The age of human space had truly begun.